Today's episode of the Just Keep Swimming podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is an online audiobook and podcast service offering over 10,000 books and the ability to listen to your favorite podcasts, including the Just Keep Swimming podcast. I personally use Audible all the time and suggest you take a listen to Intentional Living by John C. Maxwell. In this book, Mr. Maxwell shares his story on how he was able to live a noble and purposeful life and gives you tips and tricks so you can do the same. So please start your 30-day free trial now at www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast, all lowercase. Again, that is www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast. And if you have any more questions or concerns for the Just Keep Swimming podcast, you're always welcome to reach out to us on Facebook or at Instagram at Just Keep Swimming _podcast, or you can email us at jkspodcast702@gmail.com. And with that out the way, let's dive into it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Just Keep Swimming podcast. This is your friend, your boy, your host, Mr. Adrian Jackson, and we back at it again with another great episode for you. And you already know who's with me. It's the man, the myth, the legend. It's Mr. 1-3 dropping hot beats for the city. So make sure you guys check out his latest projects and keep up with them as always. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I have an episode I wanted to talk about as always. So today's episode, I wanted to call it From Rain to Rainbows. So recently I was watching the Doctor Strange movie, the Multiverse of Madness. It was my first time seeing it, so don't judge me. I know I'm late, but it was a really good movie. But one thing that really stood out in the movie for me was the idea that the little girl he was trying to save, she thought she had messed up. She thought life was terrible and everything was always going wrong for her. But at the end of the day, Doctor Strange said something amazing. He was like, everything that happened had to happen to get to this moment right here so you can succeed and find your true power. And I think that right there is always an amazing topic, amazing idea that, in life, we always have things that we have to deal with, things that bring us down, things that upset us, things that make us feel like we failed in life, or, things that are like a setback. We lose a job, we lose a friend, a partner, we may get hurt, we may get sick, we lose something in our health. And it's like, a lot of times we see this as, oh my gosh, I'm starting to fall. Life is not about to get better from here. But we can't have that mindset. The main mindset that we need to have is that, even though I fall, I can get back up, and all this is doing right now is making me stronger. So, go to the Bible real quick. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I'm just going to tell the story. So, we know there's a story of the guy that, he was his father's favorite, and then his brothers threw him into a pit. And then, from there, he got put into a house, and he got thrown into jail, and then from there he became the king's apprentice. He became the second in charge of the king. Again, excuse me that I can't remember the exact name right now. I don't want to just use the wrong name, but the principle of it is that he thought his life was bad. Like he was his father's favorite. Everything was all good. He's getting whatever he wants. He has the robes of many colors. His father loves him, but his brothers didn't like him. So what did they do? They threw him down. They threw him down into a pit, literally a pit, and that is something that you can't crawl out of yourself. It's something that's so hard to get out of. And when you fall into the pit, you feel like, oh, wow, this is it. This is a wrap. I have nowhere to go. But at the end of the day, he was still pulled out of the pit, and then he got put into another place of high honor. He was second into his master's house, and then he got in trouble again and got thrown into jail. And same thing, he got thrown down somewhere where he thought, this is it, this is the last of me, I'm going to be forgotten about, I'm about to rot to death. But then after that, he got brought up again to be second in charge of the king, and that right there is kind of like where his story ends, with him being on top. And I think think that right there is so beautiful. The idea that in order for him to rise up, he had to be thrown down. You know, in order for him to be, you know, seen by the king, he had to first be put into jail. But he would have never been put into jail if he was never thrown into that pit. And his brothers all listened to exactly what his father said and said, you know what, he is the favorite. We're going to treat him as that way, and we're never going to do anything bad. You know, we will never learn of him. You know, we will never heard his story of how he was able to triumph when things went bad. And I think we have to learn to use that as an example. When I was doing multi-level marketing, one of the mentors I had always said something pretty cool. He was always like, are you willing to step back and, you know, stop your life for 5 years to pretty much elevate your life for a whole 20 years? Who know how far this elevation would be? But in order for you to elevate, you have to pull back, and you have to kind of throw yourself in that hole and be like, okay, let me stop and get myself together and really build up these strengths, and let me find out where I need to be at, or what skills I need to get there, you know? And I think that a lot of times we don't have I'm gonna use my words correctly, we don't take the personal choice to throw ourselves into a pit, you know. A lot of times we always look for the easiest, best route to get there, and, you know, that easy, best route, yes, it may look nice and smooth, but it's not getting us to where we need to be as fast as it could get us to be if we would fall into the pit and, you know, get down on ourselves and be like, okay, let me pick myself up and let me figure out what I need to learn. You know, going back to that Doctor Strange movie, it was really deep because he, at some point, he was down in the pit. He thought he couldn't win this battle. He thought he was about to lose. He was literally about to die. He was getting pulled down by the demons of hell or something like that. And, you know, his partner at the time had to tell him, like, yo, you're Doctor Strange. You're an ultimate sorceress. Use this negative power against them, you know what I'm saying? Take control of this power and use it for your advantage. And that's exactly what he did, and he was able to, you know, come back and beat everybody. And then it was funny, at the end of the movie, the guy, the Sorcerer Supreme, was like, are you okay? He was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, you know, you use the darkest book in the world to do one of the darkest techniques in the world to take over your own quartz to win this battle. Are you okay? He was like, oh yeah, it was nothing, you know? And it's like funny because he did so many dark things to win the battle, which is like, he went down as low as he could possibly go and still was able to come out triumph. And I think that is something that we all have to learn to step back and accept that when the bad things happen, that does not mean it's the end of the story. It is now time for you to pull out your true power and see how strong you are to get to where you need to be. You know, so me, prime example for my life is I've been fired multiple times from jobs, you know. I've been fired for no reason at all, just for showing up to work, and I got fired. And it was like, I was beating myself up, and I was always thinking, like, I can't get no better than this. Like, I was doing great. I was making good money. I was at a place I love to be at. And now look at me, back in this pit, not knowing where I'm going to do, not knowing where to be, not knowing how I'm going to make money again. But at the same time, I never stopped swimming, you know what I'm saying? I kept swimming, I kept moving, I kept going forward and trusting that everything's going to be okay. And that made me find the positions that I'm in today and the opportunities that I have now to continue to serve this world. And at the end of the day, I know that at some point I will fall back into a pit. Recently, I've been having some little medical issues that's been messing up my sleep. And trust me, I felt like I was in a pit, man. I felt like, man, this is it. It's happening again. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not going to hold myself back. I'm going to take advantage of these opportunities of when I can't sleep and try to meditate and try to be grateful and try to count my prayers and do whatever I can to do while in this pain, you know, because even though I'm in this pain, in this pit right now, doesn't mean I have to just sit here and wait for somebody to come save me. I can do what I can right now to get stronger so I can possibly save myself. So when the opportunity does arise, I'll know I'll be ready for it, you know? So it's like when I lost my job and I was in that pit of I don't have no money, the mindset was, no, let's get to the mindset of figuring out how to make money in different ways, you know. So that's when I found some side gigs, and that's when I found some side hustles to do, and that's why I really learned how to save and, you know, cut back on fast food. And now I'm saving more money. Now that I'm making more money, I'm still saving money because I'm still using those techniques that I used when I was in the pit, and it's actually helping me see this amazing rainbow of this life that I'm in right now, you know. Like, a lot of times when the rain comes, we get scared and we get sad, but we have to remember the rain brings life, you know. The rain brings the water of life that waters all the plants and moisturizes the world, you know. It fills the rivers back up. And yes, it's dark at the time, it could be stormy, it could be high winds, but after the rain comes, there's a rainbow. Sunshine always comes after the storm, and that sunshine, yes, it was going to make those flowers grow, but them flowers couldn't have grown if that rain wouldn't have hit it first. If the sun would just came and kept beaming, you know, for all my people that live in Las Vegas, we understand that the sun shines so much out here, and it is hot. We all know it is hot out here, and if you don't water them plants ain't gonna grow. They just gonna burn up because of excessive sun, you know. We need the rain to come. We need those cloudy weathers to come and give us the nutrients that we need, so when the sun does come, we can truly step into those rays and be able to survive those sun rays, you know. And I think that right there is just like a really dope mindset, definitely for somebody being in Las Vegas my whole life. Like, at some point I get tired of the sun. I can't wait for the rain and the gloomy days, because for me that lets me know that the city is about to cool down, you know. The plants are about to grow, the trees are about to get water, and the next day is actually going to be a really nice day compared to when it's days when it's just sun. It's hot, it's burning, it's melting. You don't want to be in it no more, you know. So it's like, let's not try to shake away the rainy days. Let's not, you know, when the rain happens, say, oh, woe is me, life is terrible. No, let's look at this as an opportunity to reset, you know, to just get ourselves back to where we need to be, you know, to really get our values back lined up to where we need them to be, to understand that, yes, I may be going through this dark time, but the sun will rise, you know. Yes, it may be raining on me right now, but the rainbow will come out after this. And when that rainbow comes out and I see it, it's going to be so, so beautiful. And I'll be so happy that I made it through the rain. And it's not going to be a doubt in my mind that the rain was there to hinder me, because soon I'm going to start to see that this rain was here to advance me. This rain was here to make me stronger. This rain came to make me more nutritious and give me the water that I need and the things that I need, so when the sun does come, it doesn't burn me up and I can truly appreciate the sun for what it is. So, you know, my message out there for you, for everybody that feels like they're in the dark pit right now, like they feel like they got thrown into a hole, they got dealt a bad card, a bad hand, it is okay. Make it work for you, you know, but this is not the end of your journey. This right here is just another catalyst to make you stronger, you know. In every single video game I played, you know, it always gets harder before it gets easier. You know, you always have to, all the games, definitely Zelda, when you play Zelda, you have to go into a lot of dungeons. Half the dungeons, you have to go down first before you get up to the main boss. You know, like, you don't just start off and go straight to the top. You always start off at the bottom, have to work your way to the top, you know. That's why it's always called level 0, and you have to get up to level 100, you know. You always start at the bottom, but being at the bottom is beautiful because the bottom is a great foundation to climb up on, to build upon, you know. You can't just start building on a building with a weak foundation, because the building is going to fall over. You need to get down to the bottom. Some of the biggest skyscrapers in the world, what they do is they dig holes down probably about, you know, 100 feet, 200 feet, just to build the foundation up so this building can rise up to be 20, 30, 50, 60 stories, you know. But without that strong foundation in the ground first, this building could not stand strong. So, you know, when you're in the pit, don't look at yourself in the pit. Look at it as an opportunity to really strengthen your foundation, because the best foundation always starts at the bottom. As low as you can possibly get it, that's the strongest foundation you can get, and then you can only build up from there. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that resonates with you guys today. I hope it makes sense. You know, I understand that a lot of us may feel like we're in a pit right now. We may feel like we're being drowned. We may feel like we're being flooded right now. But understand that this excess of water that's flowing in is only going to nutritious you. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to give you the vitamins and everything you need to get to where you need to be. That pit that you're in right now, that's a perfect opportunity for you to build your foundation, because at the bottom is the best way to climb to the top. If you're at the top and you try to build the top, it's going to fall. You got to build that foundation strong first. So if you're at that bottom of the pit, it is okay. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be mad. Yes, you were at the top and you fell back to the bottom, but now it's time to build a new building. So let's get that foundation strong, and let's trust that being at the bottom is only going to lead you up to the top, you guys. And yes, I hope that resonated as well. I hope that all is well with everybody out in the world. Thank you guys all so much for your continuous listens, and continue to help us climb up to the top, and help us build this amazing foundation so we can build this amazing Just Keep Swimming building that we're working on right now. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, a marvelous afternoon, a splendid evening, and remember to just keep swimming.